Okay, so let's begin. We're going to start on Peitas. Peitas, Summit Days. It's 4 lines
Rabbi,
from the bottom. Amar Abaya. Yeah.
I don't know if now it won't be, but there was so much background noise from everyone in the room. Could you make sure that they're quiet, whoever's there, because we were hearing a lot of background noise now.
Maybe I should use the headphones. Let me try.
Thank you.
I'll put one in. Now, 1 second. Okay. Does the sound better? I mean, there's no background noise. Do you hear me?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear.
The sound is good? Okay. Okay, so we learned in the Mishnah 3 opinions. We learned the opinion of Reb Meir that all of the roofs of the city are considered one roof. That means you can carry across all the roofs, even though there's different owners. He doesn't care that there's different owners. You can carry across all the roofs. We learned the opinion of the Chachamim that said every roof is separated. He cares about the different owners. And then we learned the opinion of Reb Shimon that said not only the roofs are the same, but the courtyards are the same. Okay, then we had a Machlekes Rav and Shmuel regarding the opinion of the Chachamim. The Chachamim say that every roof is considered separate because there's different owners. What about on your own roof itself? So Rav said that you can't carry on your own roof because it's open to the other roofs, and there's no Eruv. You didn't make an Eruv. And Shmuel says no, on your own roof you can carry. We explained what's the machlekes, that it's considered like there's walls that are coming up all around your area, all around the roofs. The question is, do the walls come up through the center because they're like townhouses? Do the walls that are coming up, fictitious wall, imaginary walls that are coming up, does it come up through the center houses, through the townhouses, to protrude upward in your imagination, imaginary halachic walls? So Shmuel says that they do. Therefore, you can carry in your own rishus. Rav says that they don't. So therefore, it's totally open to the other rishuyas. That was a machlekes Rav and Shmuel. Oh, I don't know. Okay. There's a question there. How does Shmuel know where to stop? I don't know. Okay. Amar Abaya. The last thing that we learned was that if you put up mechitzas around the roof, if there was a large roof that was open to a small roof, so we said the large roof would be able to carry. The small roof would not be able to carry, because the large roof, it's as if it's closed off, because when you go from a larger area to a smaller area, there's a wall, but the smaller area into the larger area is totally open. But then we said that if one of them is Royal Ladira, then he takes over that whole area, and he's allowed to carry there. Amar Abaya, Banali al Gabi Beisei. Abaya says if someone builds an attic on his own house, okay, Va'asalafana Daka Arba, and then the Daka is a small roof, which is like a little fence. I'd imagine it like a child's fence. So you don't, they put up a little thing. So he put it from blocking his house, blocking his roof to the other roofs. So then Huta B'chalagag and Kulan. Then he's allowed to carry in all of the roofs. That's a little strange. He's allowed to carry on his own roof, I understand. He put up mechitzas and he put up a daka. Why is he allowed to carry on all the other roofs? The reason is because he set up an attic, everyone knows that he's living up there and no one else is living up there. That means that they're sort of like giving up their rights to his he uses the roof, so he can carry on the whole roof and they can't. Amar Rava says, Pam Shadak Liser, that little fence that you put up that's in between your roof and the other roofs, that doesn't always work to your benefit. Sometimes it works to your detriment. How was that? It says, Hechi Dami, David Laharbi Tabitza de Besa. If you make it not to the other roofs, but you make it to the side of the garden, so then the wall is blocking the other roofs, and the small wall is open to the garden. That means that you set it up not to use the roofs, but you set up to watch the garden, the Amar, because he'll say, Davida. He made it just to be able to look over on the garden. It's not for usage of the other roofs. This is similar to the last thing that we said before, that if you put up a ladder, that shows that you have the access to the roof and the other ones don't. So here, if you put up an aliyah, a fence that you're using the roof, then you have access to the roof and the other ones don't. Okay, boy Rami Bar Chama. Rami Bar Chama has a question. Shteyames begag. Shteyames ba'amad. This question is according to Rav. Remember, Rav said that you're not allowed to use your own roof. Why? Because you don't have any borders. You don't have any walls to your roof. What happens here, you have two hamas. You want to carry off your roof, and you want to carry onto an amud that's in Rosh Hashanah. Now, an amud in Rosh Hashanah that's 10 tvachim high, 4 tvachim wide, becomes a Rosh Hashanah. Your roof is also Rosh Hashanah. The only problem is that you can, according to Rav, you can't carry on your roof. So such a Rosh Hashanah doesn't do you much good. It's more, according to Rav, it's more of a karmelis than a Rosh Hashanah because you can't carry there. Even on your own roof, you can't carry because it's open. It's called it's like a chatzah shel rabim or gagan shel rabim. It's more like a karmelis than a Rosh Hashanah. So shtei amis begag v'shtei amis ba'amad. If you want to carry from your roof, which you're not allowed to carry on, more than 4 amis, but you're only going to carry 2 amis. But you're going to carry off it, and you want to carry it 2 amis onto the amud, where you're going from a Rosh Hashanah to Rosh Hashanah. But you can look at it differently. You can look at it that you're going from a karmelis to a Rosh Hashanah because you can't carry on your own roof. So now, what's the din? You're crossing the border from your roof over to an amud. Yeah. Amar Rabba. Rabba says, Maikami Baile. Rabba says, what's Rami Bar Chama's question? Now, it's interesting here because Rabba is older than Rami Bar Chama. Rami Bar Chama is a student of Rav Chisda. Rabba and Rav Chisda were contemporaries, so he's a generation down. So I wonder if this is really Rabba. Maybe it's Rava. I don't have any change in the Nusach in my old Gemara, but what do you have over there? Do you have a Rava?
Yeah.
Ah, that's much better. It's much better. I don't have my pencil with me. You have a Rava in yours? It's 3 lines down.
There's an aleph that says
On Tzaddik.
Yeah, I have Maraba.
You have a Maraba with a hey?
Yeah, I also have Maraba.
In the Gemara it says Rabba, but on the side it says
It makes more sense if it's Rava. My kami baile. Karmelis versus a Yachid kami baile. What's he asking? If you can carry from a Karmelis to Rosh Hashanah, that's obvious. Everyone knows you can't carry from a Karmelis to Rosh Hashanah. Can't carry from outside your house to inside your house if there's no fence up. Outside your house is a Karmelis. You can't carry like that. It's a Karmelis. Rami Bar Chama, this is a very interesting piece of Gemara. Rami Bar Chama says, Agav chorfei la'iyanba. He was so sharp that he didn't process the question properly. It was too smart, which may mean that he was too involved in learning other things that he just went through this quickly. Agav chorfei, I'm not sure exactly how to translate. Agav chorfei means sharpness. This was his question. What are we going to gain over here? 2 amas on your roof.
Three opinions in the Mishnah don't hold that you can use your gag as a roof. I mean, your gag as your own Rishus, right?
2 out of the 3 opinions hold that,
Your Gag is your Rishus.
yeah, Reb
Even if it
Meir,
doesn't have walls.
Reb Meir and Reb Shimon would hold that. Yeah.
So if it doesn't have walls, so what is their having? Where they don't need walls.
Oh, what are they thinking?
Yeah, where they don't need walls. You said your front yard is not your Rishus because it doesn't have walls. So what was the argument in the Mishnah?
Oh. So we're not dealing with the wall aspect right now. We're dealing with the rights to use that.
During the week?
So yeah, but what happens is if there's a Chatzar Shel Rabim, you need an Eruv.
Right.
They didn't make an Eruv, even though there's walls, but there's no Eruv. So there's no Eruv to what. So let's say they can't carry in the Chatzar. They can't carry from house to house. What about along the roofs? Can you carry along the roofs? So Reb Meir says it's not a problem. You can carry along the roofs. Reb Shimon says it's not a problem.
So the roofs are the roofs of a courtyard that has a wall.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Well, let's say, yeah, it could be the city even. Reb Shimon says you go from roof to roof, and Reb Shimon says you can even enter into courtyards and karfifais, all of that. Okay, we'll see at the end. So now the question is, it's Beis HaMisbach Sadra, Beis HaMisbagag, Beis HaMisbach Sadra. So what's the roof? The roof was a Carmelis. What's the Achsadra? Achsadra is a portico. It's a gazebo. It's just a ceiling without walls. So they have like pillars probably that are holding it up. A carport. So Rashi tells us that we're not going to say Pita Kriyard V'Seisim. We don't say that. Usually we say by such a thing, or there's machlekes about this, but some say about such a thing that you look at the lip at the edge of the roof and you imagine that it's traveling down. If it can travel down, maybe it can travel up also. We're not saying that here. Why not? Because it's slanted. We only say Pita Kriyard V'Seisim if it's flat. So what we're dealing with here is an achsadra that's very large. It's Yeser Beis Hasayim. It's a huge tent.
Doesn't it have to have
A lip. A fence? Oh yeah. It's a good question. Yossi's asking if it needs a fence because it's a flat roof. It could only be a flat if it's on your house or something. Okay. So what we are gaining here is that we have a Carmelis to a Carmelis. Well, it's not really a Carmelis. It's an Achsadra. It's a area that's loyhukaf ledira. It wasn't walled in for living conditions, and the roof is more of a living condition than this is. But the roof has its own problem. The roof is a Carmelis, so they each have a problem to carry. So maybe that's going to be similar from a gag to an achsadra. You can't really carry on either of them, but you can carry on each of them under 4 amas. So can I cross the line and carry 2 on this and 2 on that? I don't live on the roof and I don't live on the achsadra. So I can carry across the border from one to another. Or because I can't carry from one roof to another roof, so from the roof to the achsadra should also be aser. So why is it even a kasha? Why is it even a shaila that you should carry from? The answer is because it's referring to an achsadra that belongs to the same person. See, the chachamim make a difference in ownership, but over here, it's one owner. You with us, Naftali? Okay. So that was the question of Rami Bar Chama re-explained by the Gemara. Okay, there's other ways of learning this, by the way. That we learned that the Gag is the Carmelis, and the Achsadra is the Rishus Hayachid, and the Amud was the Rishus Hayachid. The other Rishonim learn it the opposite because the Gemara doesn't spell it out. The Gemara doesn't tell me which one is the Gagli. The Gemara just says, Carmelis Rishus Hayachid Kami Bailei. It's possible that the Amud is considered the Carmelis and the Gag is considered. according to the other Rishonim. Okay. Boy Rav Bibi Barabaya. Rav Bibi Barabaya has a question. This is the son of Abaya. He was the one that did that thing with the chicken, remember, in Brachas, to see when the time was. It says that Hashem gets angry for one moment.
Oh, right.
Okay. So, Beis Hamas Begag, Beis Hamas Bechorba. Mahu. Very similar question to Rami Bar Chama. Rami Bar Chama was Rava's, was married to the woman that Rava was married to after Rami Bar Chama died. Rava married Rav Chisda's daughter. So that was Rami Bar Chama. Rami Bar Chama's wife was Rav Chisda's daughter. Rava's wife was Rav Chisda's daughter. So Rav and Abaya are the same generation. Rabbi Bibi Bar Abaya is down a generation. So Rabbi Bibi Bar Abaya's question is if you want to carry from 2 Amos on the Gag, and you want to carry it over to a Chorva, which is a ruin. Now, the ruin you also really don't live in. So Ma, what's the din? So,
Does anyone own that room?
that's a very good question. Who owns the ruin?
As means it's just around.
So, it's a good question. Let's say right now it's the same. The Gemara says, Amar Rav Kana. Rav Kana says, Lav Haina Rami Bar Chama. You're asking the same question that Rami Bar Chama asked. He calls it Achsaja, you call it a ruin, but it's the same story. Amar Rav Bibi Bar Abaya v'chi meyacher asoi v'neitzei. You're accusing me of plagiarism, that meyacher, from someone else. I'm bringing it in and coming. Achsadra lechazi ledira. The achsadra is not suitable for dwelling in. The churba chazi ledira, but the churba is suitable to dwell in. Now, who lives in a ruin? I don't know, but it's not. It's more suitable to live in the ruin than to live in the achsadra. We'll see. So v'chimiacher the chazi ledira ma'kemi boile. If it's that type of ruin that just needs a painting, that's a regular house. What is your question? You know you can't carry from roof to roof. This is the chachamim. So what are you asking here? You should be able to carry from your roof to another roof. That's chazil dira. That's just like another roof. So the Gemara explains imtim talaymer kamer. It's an imtim talaymer over here. It means if you say this, then we have a follow-up question. It explains it like this: imtim talaymer achsadra lechazil dira. If you say that you can carry an achsadra. An achsadra is not fit for dira, but churva chazil dira. But maybe the churva is fit for dwelling. So let's do it the other way. If according to Rami Bar Chama, it's mutter that an achsadra was mutter, if it's obvious to Rami Bar Chama that you can carry from a gag to an achsadra, so what about bayas? Do we say that the achsadra was leichazi ladira, and that's why it's mutter? So it was one to another. I think that's making the similarity. That both of them are leichazi ladira. Less badirim. You see, the churva, it's possible to be a residence, but I need to fix it up a little bit. So, do I say that it's exactly like the gag, or do I say that it's different than the gag, and I can't carry from one to the other? Or maybe do I say that the fact is that it's the same as the gag because right now you can't live on either of them, and you should be able to carry from one to the other. Abandoned house.
Usually that's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a pile of rubble.
The Gemara leaves us with Teku. Rabbi Bar Abaya's question is left at a Teku. Okay. We're going to get into a slight complication now. It's like this Rav and Shmuel. But I'm like this Rav and Shmuel before regarding the Chachamim. Chachamim say that every roof is Rishus B'fnei Atzmei. You can't carry from one roof to another without an Eruv. Rav said that meant that you can't carry on your own roof either. Shmuel said you can carry on your own roof. What about Reb Meir? Reb Meir said that all the roofs are considered one. Sounds very good. Sounds like you can carry across everything, right? The Gemara now says like this: Gagen hashavin l'Reb Meir, v'gag yechidi l'Rabbanan. Let's say Gagen hashavin. That means all the roofs are in the same level. We mentioned before that according to Reb Meir, if the level of the roof is different, there's a problem there. Gagen hashavin. So you have a lot of roofs. I should be able to carry across the whole thing. And then what about l'Rabbanan if there's just Gag Yechidi? That should be fine, right? There's no problem there. Rav Amar Mutal Etaltal B'Kuli. Rav says you're allowed to carry on all of it. Shmuel Amar Ein Metaltal B'Yela B'Daled. And Shmuel says you can only carry within 4 amas.
In both those cases.
Yeah. According to Reb Meir, you can only carry within 4 amas. So what did Reb Meir say? He said, Kulan Rishus Achas. What did he mean? If I can only carry within 4 amas, what does he mean? Shmuel says what Reb Meir means is that I can carry across the border from one roof to another. It's all one, but only within Dalet Amas, because I'm not allowed to carry. There's no, he doesn't consider it like there's walls there. I'm not allowed to carry. The only thing is that there are no borders between the roofs. So the Gemara is going to explain this. Rav Amar Mutal Etaltal B'Kulai. Rav says that you're allowed to carry within the whole, within all the roofs together, according to Reb Meir. And you're allowed to carry on your whole roof according to the Rabbanan. There's a big problem here, because Kasha de Rava de Rav. Rav before said that according to the Chachamim, you weren't allowed to carry Dalet Amas even on your own roof. Now all of a sudden, you're allowed to carry on your whole roof. Right? It's like Rav is the mamish the opposite.
So what are you going to accomplish by going on the roof?
Let's say you want to go up on the roof and you didn't make an Eruv. Yeah.
In Yerushalayim, they have this in the old city. You can run across the roofs and get across town.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you have to do it.
So the Gemara answers like this.
You'll see plenty of people doing it when you're up there.
Chasam leiminkara mechitzta. We're going like this. What was our case before, according to the Chachamim, that you weren't allowed to carry on your own roof because you didn't know where the boundary was?
That's what it was.
So
because he says that there are these vicious walls, but you can't see them.
Right.
So
it works like this. Rav agrees that the outside walls travel up. He agrees to good asik mechitzta, that we can look at the outer walls to continue up. The question is the inner walls. The inner walls are blocked by a roof. You don't know where that is. So if I have one house, so I'm totally surrounded by my own walls. If I have many houses together, which is all one rishus according to Reb Meir, I'm totally surrounded by all the walls. The problem is, according to the Chachamim, when I have many houses together, where I'm totally surrounded by the outer walls, but not the inner walls, that's where it becomes a problem. That's why Rav said I can't even carry on my own. You see, according to Rav, it really fits perfectly. The outer walls travel up. I'm sorry? Right. So if, according to Rameir, I consider all of the outer walls to be one rishus. Everything, all the gagas are one rishus, so I only have the outer walls. So it's mamish like a chatzer shel rabim. It's a chatzer that everyone uses without an eruv. Okay. But over here, it's either one house or it's the outer walls of all the houses together, which according to Reb Meir is one house. Okay, let's go to Shmuel. Shmuel's a little bit more difficult. Shmuel said that according to the Chachamim, Shmuel said I'm allowed to carry on my roof. Now all of a sudden, Shmuel says if I have a house alone, according to the Chacham, I can't carry. Only Dalit Amos. Shmuel Amar Imetatlem Dalit Amos. Kasha de Shmuel ad Shmuel. What does Shmuel mean? Before I could carry on my roof when I was open to everyone else. Now all of a sudden I can't. Shmuel says, Hasam le aviyesim bebeis asayim, hach aviyesim bebeis asayim. Changes the case. According to Reb Meir, all the houses together join as one, all the roofs together join as one. So therefore, it's loyhukaf ledira. The fence around it is not made for living. There is a fence around it. He says that the walls go up, but that fence around it, he says even the walls in the inside go up, Shmuel. But according to Reb Meir, according to Chum, the inside walls went up. According to Reb Meir, we look at the outer walls, but it's so large that it's a beis asayim, and it's like a karfif. That's a beis asayim that you're not allowed to carry in more than 4 amos. A karfif is a park area that has no house in it. You're not allowed to carry in it. So therefore, according to Shmuel, according to Reb Meir,
The walls go up.
Shmuel said the walls go up in the inside according to the Chachamim. So let's say he holds that. But those walls aren't meaningful enough, I guess, because it's like Ledira. So, and also if it's a single house we're dealing with a single house that's so large that it's a beis asayim, so and the roof is like Ledira, so you can't carry in there more than 4 amos. It goes like this. The actual mechitzas here are only made for the house itself. They weren't made for above. So it becomes a karfif, like a park area that wasn't surrounded for dwelling. You only have to carry within 4 amos. So in other words, even though the walls that are functioning but they're only functioning for beneath the roof. Above the roof, they're not considered hukaf ladira. Below the roof, they're considered hukaf ladira. And I'm using the same walls, but they're not made for above the roof. Okay, Itmar. We have a statement, Svina. A boat. A boat has walls. I think we had this Gemara once before. I don't have any note on the side, but Rav says you're allowed to carry on the whole boat. He considers it hukaf ladira. It has walls. You're allowed to carry. Now it's really like a chatzar, but did you make an Eruv?
What are you talking about? A personal boat or a cruise ship?
I don't know. Let's say a bunch of people. Let's say there's a bunch of people on the boat.
That's the question. Sharing it with other people.
Yeah, let's say sharing it with other people. The question over here is that it's larger than a beis asayim. That's our discussion. If it's larger than a beis asayim, which is 100 amos by 50 amos.
He was on the boat when the Shabbos came.
Yeah. Is he allowed to carry on the deck? So Rav says that it's considered that you live on the deck. Shmuel says you can't live on it. You can't carry on it within more than 4 amos. Rav says you can carry on in the whole boat. Because there's walls that are up. Shmuel Amar ein metalton el ba'arba amos mechitzas lavriach mayim asuyos. Doesn't count the walls. It says the walls are to keep the water out, not for dwelling.
Is a houseboat different?
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
I was asking if a houseboat is different. See, there was a little twist in this Gemara. I guess what was that? And where?
But here they said Svina and not Sira. Sira, that would be a houseboat.
A Sira is a houseboat.
So that would be more of a personal kind of boat, but Svina is probably more when you have public.
if you notice, Reb Moshe and Tosfos, Hachadav Yesmi Beis Asayim, Tosfos says, "V'leimin good asik l'Reb Meir begagan harbi elu b'mechitzas achitzainas, given the kulner shasachasin." For some reason, according to Reb Meir, I only say the outer walls go up, not the inner walls of the house. Yeah, Rashi mentioned that also. Okay. Let's see what happens here. Amalei Rav Chia bar Yosef l'Shmuel. It's a very interesting Gemara. Rav Chia bar Yosef says to Shmuel, Hilchasa kavasacha, hilchasa karav. Is the halacha like you, or the halacha like Rav? This is like, who did the president vote for? Right? So, Samalei hilchasa karav. Unbelievable, huh? Shmuel says the halacha is like Rav. It's surprising. Okay. Amar Rav Gidl Amar Rav Chia bar Yosef. Rav Gidl says the name of Rav Chia bar Yosef. Rav Gidl is usually says in the name of Rav. Over here, I think he's saying in a student of Rav. Umayda Rav, that Rav would agree. Shem Kafal, we're talking about the boat here. Shem Kafal Pia Shem Metatlan Bela Bar Bamas. That if you turn the boat over, then you can only carry within 4 amas. The boat's now upside down. So Rav said that the boat was considered mukaf ladira, and Shmuel said it's not mukaf ladira. So Shmuel said you couldn't carry on it, and Rav now says that if you turn it over, you can't carry on it. So the Gemara says, "Kafalamai, what did you turn it over for? If you wanted to dwell underneath the boat, right? On the yeah, it's on the dry land, I guess. Oh, yeah, it has to be. You can't live in the water. It has to be, right?
I thought all along this was like a boat on the water.
Right. That's what it sounds like, that it's a boat on the water, because you're keeping the water out.
If it was in the water, the only reason why it's a boat was if there's like a storm or something. Then there's never something.
So if you turned it over, Ilam Maishna Migag Yechidi. So 1 second, that's the same like a regular house that you live on the bottom. Are you allowed to carry on the roof? Rav said that the Gag Yechidi, you are allowed to carry on the roof. Mutter betalta l'kuli, according to the Rabbanan. It's a Gag Yechidi, according to everyone, you can carry on the roof. So what's the shaila over here? Meider Rav Shem Kafal Pia, that you're not allowed to be metaltal. Why not? Ela shekafal is Eifsa. You turned it over because you wanted to put the tar on it, to the zephas, the pitch. So you put that on it, so you're not really dwelling under it, you're not dwelling on top of it. So therefore, there are no mechitzas here that it's considered hukaf l'dira. Ravashi masan asfina. Ravashi learned this.
I recognize those sneezes, by the way. I know who's doing it.
Ravashi it says that this was talking about the way we learned it, that it's talking about a boat. Ravacha Breder Rava masan lach sadra. Ravacha Breder Rava says this discussion regarding an achsadra. Achsadra, we said, was a gazebo or a portico. The itmar that it was stated. Achsadra bebika. Let's say you have an open an open gazebo that you just have poles and you have a roof. You see this sometimes in the parks. They have the benches under there. So in bibika means that it's not attached to a house. That's the point of bibika. Sometimes it's attached to the house. You have one wall there, or maybe 2 walls or something. But here it's totally open on 4 sides. It has no walls. Are you allowed to carry under there? So Rav says you're allowed to carry under it. Shmuel says you're not allowed to carry within 4 amas. So instead of learning it on the boat, that Shmuel says you can only carry within 4 amas, now we're talking about, are you allowed to carry under a gazebo? You know, you're in the park, you know, where the benches are. Okay. So what's the pshat? What's the explanation for the machlekes? Rav Rav says you're allowed to carry in the whole area. He says I look at the lip of the roof, and it has a tefach thickness, and I say pitik, or the edge of the roof travels down and encloses the entire area. You're allowed to carry under it. Shmuel says you can only carry in four, within 4 amas under this area. We say that we don't say that the lip seals it off. Now, Dr. Stein has a picture of a nice Chinese-looking gazebo. I don't know if anyone holds if it's slanted. If you say pitikri or adversaisim, I think we said once that it doesn't. I think that's what we had earlier also. It would have to be a flat roof that I look at the roof and I say that it continues down. So there's a discussion in Masechta Sukkah also. If you can, if you hold mechitza tluyos are okay, which we said Rabbi Yossi, you remember we had a discussion over there. So if you can say pitikri or adversaisim. V'rav aliba de Rab Meir litaltel migag l'chatzer. According to Rav says that I'm allowed to carry on my roof, and I'm allowed to carry on all the roofs, according to Reb Meir. Why am I allowed to carry on all the roofs? Because he says that they're all that there's no gzeira on the roofs that I need to have an Eruv. They're all one. They're all considered one. So if that's the case, I should be allowed to carry from a gag into a chatzar.
You mean off the roof? Down
Off the roof. Off the roof. Now, but we're going to come out later that according to the Chachamim, you're actually allowed to carry from a gag to a chatzar.
Your personal.
Personal, yeah. Why you're not allowed to carry from a gag to a chatzar? The Gemara answers, Gezer Mishum de Rav Yitzchak bar Avdimi. The answer is because of a separate Gezerah. Rav Yitzchak bar Avdimi. We had this before. He says that I'm afraid that if I'm allowed to carry, we asked the question on Reb Meir, why, if you're allowed to carry across all the roofs, then why, if one roof is above 10 tfachim, one roof is lower than 10 tfachim, why can't you carry from one to the other? We said because you may end up putting something on a post in Rosh Hashanah, on a tail in Rosh Hashanah. We said you can't even do that in a chatzar. We had a problem, right? In a chatzar, you can't put something on the millstone. We said because you may end up doing that in Rosh Hashanah. It's like a different Rosh. It's a gezerah. That's the case. So I can't carry from a gag to a chatzar because of the distance in height. Because in the chatzar itself, I'm not allowed to put something on anything that's 10 tvachim high.
But one second. But then just now you say that Rav said that you can.
We're asking. You should be allowed to carry from a gag to a chatzar. The Gemara answers that you're not allowed to. Why can't you? Yeah. If you look at the Mishnah, Reb Meir says, Kol gagas eir rishus achas. He only said the gagas are one rishus. But really, the chatzar is also the same rishus as the gagas. The answer is the difference in height makes it a different rishus because of Rabbi Yitzchak bar Avdimi. Now the Gemara says, Shmuel aliba de Rabbana nitaltel migag lekarfif. This is an interesting question. Shmuel said that you're really not allowed to carry from on your own roof No, according to the Rabbanan, Shmuel said you're allowed to carry on your roof bekulei. If it was a bunch of roofs together, you're allowed to carry on your own roof. That was what Shmuel said, because he holds the walls go up. If that was according to the Rabban, according to Reb Meir, all of a sudden we had a chumrah. According to Reb Meir, all the roofs become one. It becomes a base Sayim. You're not even allowed to carry on your own roof. That was the chumrah that came out according to Reb Meir. So Shmuel aliba de Rabbanan. That normally you can, but then he said, Shmuel also added that even if it's your own roof, but your own roof is Yesimi Beis Hasayim, you also can't. So now we're asking, are you allowed to carry across the border from your roof to a karfif? Because both of them are considered like a karmelis, that has that status, that it's really a Rosh Hashanah, but you still can't carry in it. Both of them are areas that you can't carry in. It's a roof, the Yosef Beis Hasayim, and a karfif is Yosef Beis Hasayim. Can you carry off your roof into a... You should be allowed to. Amar Rabba Barul Gzer Shem Yifchas Agag. You're not allowed to. You're not allowed to. Why not? Because we're afraid that the roof may... Really, you should be allowed to. We say that the roof may fall in one area. That's going to tell us, that's going to... the ramifications of that is that it's not a Beis Hasayim anymore. It's not large enough to be 100 by 50. And then it becomes back to Rosh Hashanah. And Rosh Hashanah into a karfif, you're not allowed to carry. The Gemara says, maybe the fence is going to fall down in one area or something. You can't carry from a karfif to another karfif. The Gemara says, no. By the karfif, if a wall falls down and you're going to say that it's less than a Beis Hasayim, you're going to be able to tell because it's all flat. But on the roof, if one roof caves in, maybe you won't notice that the roof caved in, and it's not going to be a Beis Hasayim. It's a problem. Huh? Yeah, it's an interesting gezerah.
You know that one? Where the grandma had wheels.
Oh,
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like the big if.
uh-huh.
Yeah, we say that in America too.
Yeah, sheesh. And if this.
Okay. The Gemara now says, Amar Rav Yehuda. Rav Yehuda is going to try to summarize everything for us. Put it all together. Keshetim Tzalaimar. Rav Yehuda is a student of Rav, a student of Shmuel. He says, when you put this together, Keshetim Tzalaimar, when you get to the final conclusion of everything, when you sum it all up, L'divrei Reb Meir, according to Reb Meir, Gag and Rishis Latzman, you can carry from all the roofs together, all from Reuven's Gag, Reuven's roof to Shimon's roof, you can carry on all of them. Chatzeres Rishis Latzman, you can also carry from one courtyard to another courtyard, according to Reb Meir. Reb Meir wasn't concerned about Eiruvin the same way that we spoke about. Anything that was left in the chutzner, I can carry from one chutzner to another chutzner. There's not a problem. Reb Meir doesn't have that issue, just like he didn't have an issue on roofs. He doesn't have an issue on the chutzner. Karfif is Rishis Latzman, and I can carry from one karfif to another karfif. What happens according to Reb Meir, if you want to sum this up, it's a nice long Rashi here. Basically, what he says is that anything that doesn't have a residence is all considered one. If it has a different type of residence, that's what switches it. In other words, I don't care about who's the owner. That doesn't bother me. It's not the owner. This roof has a different owner than that roof. He ignores what it says on the mortgage. That doesn't interest him. What interests him is what the usage is of it. So if they're all roofs, then they all have the same usage, the same tashmish. So it's all considered one. The chatzeros all have the same usage. It's all one. Karfifas all have the same usage. They're all one. But one to the other, that's already a problem. Ownership doesn't interest us. So it's just the different type of usage that interests us. Two houses would be a problem because he does look at a dira, okay. Divrei Chachamim, Gagen v'chatzeres u'shasachas. This is very interesting. The Chachamim do look at ownership. They say that roofs are actually separate one from another. If you own a house, you can't carry from your roof to your neighbor's roof, but you can carry from your roof to your chatzar, because they look at the ownership as significant, and they don't consider that there's a distinction between your roof and your courtyard. According to the Chum, that's the same. One second. What about the gezerah that you can't carry from? You can't put something on an amud in Rosh Hashanah and Rosh Hashanah. What about that gezerah, Rabbi Yitzchak bar Avdimi? That was only according to Reb Meir. Reb Meir had that gezerah. He said that the roofs that are different sizes, you can't carry from one to another. He also has a gezerah of carrying from a chatzar to a gag because of that. But the Chacham don't have that gezerah, and therefore, according to the Chacham, you can carry from a roof to a courtyard. Karfifas Rosh Hasachas, and the Karfifas are Rosh Hasachasim. They're one area as well, even if there's different owners. So why, if they don't care about owners, it's impossible. We know that the Chum care about owners, because you can't carry from one roof to another. You can't carry. I can carry from my roof to my chatzar. That's not a problem. And I can even carry from my roof to a chatzar shel rabbim. They don't say that. They don't make an issue of that. Or one chatzar to another chatzar I can carry, according to the Chachamim. So why can't I carry from? Why can't I carry from my roof to another roof? If I can carry from a chatzar to a chatzar shel rabbim, or I can carry from my roof to a chatzar shel rabbim, why can't I carry from a roof to a roof? The reason is because they. Who says you can't? The Chum say you can't. But if I'm allowed to carry from a roof to a chatzar shel rabbim, which is my roof, to a public chatzar, why can't I carry from my roof to a public gag, from my gag to another gag? I could take it off my roof into the courtyard. Why can't I take it from my roof into another roof? What's the worst it could be? A courtyard. It could be a public area. The Chachamim, the answer is that what the Chacham do is they give the roof the status of a house. And therefore, a house is a real diurim, and you can't carry from one house to another house without an Eruv. So therefore, you can't carry from a roof to a roof without an Eruv. But a roof to a chatzar is a similar sort of usage, and that's not a problem. Now, there's a little bit of an issue here. The issue is that if a gag is considered a bias because of the diurim, therefore I can't carry from my bias to another bias. So why am I allowed to carry from a bias to a chatzar shel rabbim? I'm allowed to carry into a chatzar shel rabbim. So a bias I can't. From a gag I can. So a gag can't be a real diurim. It's got to be somewhere in the middle.
If it was a clever Tana, they would say, listen, when it rains, do you get wet on it?
Okay. Well, Reb Shimon says, Kulam Shasachasein, everything becomes one. That was the third opinion of the Mishnah. Reb Meir, Chachamim, and Reb Shimon. Shimon says they all have the same usage, gagais, chatzeres, karfifais, and you can carry from one to the other. You don't need any Eiruvin. Okay, Tanya Kavasei the Rav. We're going to bring a riot to Rav that you can only carry within 4 amas, according to the Chachamim. According to the Chacham, this is yesterday's Rav. Yesterday we learned that Rav holds that according to the Chachamim, if all the roofs are attached, you can only carry even on your own roof within 4 amos. Tani Kavaseder Rav Yehuda, we're also going to bring a raya to Rav Yehuda. So Tani Kavaseder Rav. Kol Gagasi, or Rishasacha saying, this is first the opinion of Rameh. The Brisa says that all the roofs of the city are one Rishus. You're not allowed to bring from the roof to the courtyard, and from the courtyard to the roof. Remember why not? Because of Rabbi Yitzchak bar Avdimi, because of the this Gzeirah. The kelim sheshavsu b'chatzer and utensils that are in the courtyard, mutal taltalam b'chatzer. You're allowed to carry them in the courtyard, even if there's no Eruv. Begagin and on the roofs, mutal taltalam begagin. If the utensils that were left on the roof, you're allowed to carry them on the roofs. Divrei Meir. The Meir says as long as the roofs are all the same height. That is a raya to Rav. You're only allowed to carry within 4 amos, even on your own roof. Right? Shmuel said, on my own roof I can carry the whole thing. Here the Brisa says you can't. Okay, it's a raya to Rav. Maybe that's why. Actually, before when they asked Shmuel, who do we paskin like? And he responded, we paskin like Rav. That could be only specifically by the boat. It didn't tell us. Tani Kabasei Rav Yehuda. Now we have a raya to Rav Yehuda. Now, specifically in Rav Yehuda, what the raya is that Reb Shimon holds that all Rishuyos, the Gag, the roofs, the courtyards, and the karfefs, the park areas, I'm allowed to carry from one to another, and I don't need any Eiruvin. It's only when I'm trying to take it out of a house into another area. But all those areas are considered one. It goes like this. I'm a Rebbe. Rebbe says, Kashino Laimdin Teiretzel Reb Shimon b'Tekoa. When we're studying Torah by Reb Shimon in Tekoa. Where's Tekoa?
South.
Where is it?
Tekoa, if I'm not mistaken, is south.
It's in the south. I just know it. I know it from.
Well, that's Shmuel, Ramos.
Yeah, by Shmuel. It was Shmuel. Was that?
It's
The
near Jerusalem. It's a modern city now.
Oh, it's a
In the
modern city in
Shomron.
Jerusalem.
Shomron.
Sorry?
It's near Jerusalem. It's a modern city.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Avner used Yoav used the Isha Chachama Mitkaya to bring Avshalom back.
Oh,
Yerushalayim.
and that was in Tekoa.
Isha
Where
Chachama
Avner's mother
Mitkaya.
was.
No, this is Yoav. Yoav brought the Isha Chachama Mitkaya to bring Avshalom back from Kishur.
Oh,
Yoav used it to bring Avshalom back.
Okay. So over there, so we were studying Torah by Reb Shimon in Tekoa. Mailim Shemen Valuntis Migag Legag, Migag Lechatz, Michatz Lechatz, Michatz Lekarfa, Mikarfa Lekarfa Acher, Achina Magina Eitzel Amayan, Sheina Reichsenbay. Says we would take oil and a towel. We would carry it from a roof to a roof, from a roof to a courtyard, from a courtyard to another courtyard, from a courtyard to a karfif, from a karfif to another karfif, until we reach the spring that we would bathing on Shabbos, I guess, to cool off. All right, and a cold. You're allowed to bathe in cold water, I think, to cool off. There's a problem, and we don't do this nowadays, but they used to do it. They would bathe.
But the showers on roof bath.
Yeah,
Like shower.
and usually in America we don't shower on Shabbos.
The oil from the Hanukkah store came from Tekoa also, right?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So that I thought they got oil from the area of Usher.
That's up north.
And that's up north. I think there may have been Hanukkah battles in Tekoa. I don't know. Did they get oil? I don't know if the oil came from there. I don't know. So Amar Rabbi Yehuda, Ma'aseh B'Shas HaSakana, Rabbi Yehuda says, look, there was a story. It was a time of danger. And we would take a Sefer Torah as well. We followed the opinion of Reb Shimon. We would go from a courtyard to a roof, to a courtyard, to a park, and we would carry the Sefer Torah. Amrulai, they said, Ein Shasa Sakana Raya, you can't bring a Raya from a Shasa Sakana. Rabbi Yehuda does this all the time. Huh? Yeah, you can't bring a Raya from what they did.
All the different opinions here, did each of that opinion not only claim that opinion, but actually act upon it? In other words, carry it?
That's going to be a discussion in Yavamas.
Okay.
In other words, or it was just
There might-
theoretically
Uh-huh.
stating this, but there was one halacha that they all followed regardless.
Yeah. In the beginning of Yavamas, the Gemara is a discussion if Beis Hillel or if Beis Shammai followed Beis Shammai, or if they also followed Beis Hillel. That's a discussion over there.
It's like one big rishus.
Yeah.
Party.
I think usually they follow their own opinion,
And their students.
and their students would follow them as well. And we have a lot of Gemaras like that where they said, leave him, he follows this opinion, and cities would follow the rabbi of that
And
city.
then when did it kind of die out? To one halacha?
It still hasn't.